Hi, this is Adam from Metal Wani in Castle Donington, a download festival with Lindsay from Cradle of Filth. Good afternoon.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
Oh, I'm very, very well, thank you very much. Seems a long time now since the album Cryptoriana and the Seduction of Decay was released back in September last year, but the album has been really well received by the fans so far. Are you as pleased with it as the fans are?
Absolutely. I didn't contribute too much to this album, but I'm very proud of the guys and what they put forth, and I'm just happy the fans like it.
It's a very important thing, I suppose, for any band in that respect to be able to.
We write when we write. I definitely can honestly say for the guys, we write from the heart, and we write music that we love and we would want to listen to over and over again. Because maybe we do have to go up and play it over and over again. But we want to write. We're fans of Cradle of Filth, writing for the fans of Cradle of Filth. It's a big responsibility, but it's a very genuine place that the music comes from.
Because they're very much, the band is very much in the heart of the fans. It's very important to them that you get it right, I suppose.
Absolutely, and the thing is like we're not the original lineup. The only original member is Danni. Martin's been there 12 years, and the rest of us have been there for 4 to 6 years. And we were all growing up fans of Cradle of Filth. I mean, I didn't become a fan till later. I honestly didn't like the band in high school, but I was young and naive and didn't know what I was doing, as we all were at that age. So, we thought about the fans and we thought about our favorite albums and like what we wanted to pay tribute to, but do in a new way. And that's what we do when we write a Cradle record.
Well, I was about to say this. The album itself is very ghoulish, kind of like Victorian obsession with the supernatural and the process of death. It's a fascinating subject. What interests you the most about this in particular? Was it because of the times, back in the Victorian days, there was a very much polite society, but there was an underbelly, a dark underbelly. Is that the sort of thing that you were going for with this album in terms of telling the story?
Absolutely, that's what Danni wanted. He didn't really decide it until like halfway through the writing process, and they were like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I think we just watched a little too much Penny Dreadful, and I think that's where it all came from, to be fair. Yeah.
Is that so influence from the TV show, perhaps?
Oh, yeah, totally. I'm Miss Ives. Hands down. She's my spirit animal.
Scott Atkins at Grindstone Studios produced this album and has done with several of the albums. What is the magic of the relationship between yourselves and Scott?
Oh, he just puts up with us.
Is that really what you...
No, he's great. He understands what we want and what we're going for. He pushes us to be better. He really pushes us to be better and get that take. He gets us angry. He gets us emotionally distraught. But that's what makes the good takes. That's what he gets the best out of us. He pushes us to the edge. He makes us do things that we didn't think we could as performers and writers. And I love that about Scott. He's a treat to work with. Actually, he's here this weekend. I saw him yesterday. I have to give him a big hug. He's great.
You've taken this show now all around the world, including Japan and Australia. What were the highlights for you of that particular part of the tour?
Japan is a beautiful country with very honourable people and very respectable society. I love Japan. I love anime. I love everything about Japan. I got to spend a day in Tokyo, and it was just amazing. I mean, I would love to for the people there to hear me as a solo artist. I'd love to have my music in an anime. I just love Japan. It's beautiful. The culture, it's amazing. And it was nice to go back to Australia. Australia's always had a special place in my heart. It was where I first went 5 years ago when I joined the band. It was like my first tour. We ended in Australia, and I met the guys in Hayward, and we were like bros, and watching them grow. They're like that little band that not a little band anymore. It's like I'm very proud of them, and I love Australia. I would love to go back just even as a holiday. It's an amazing country. So yeah, it was really cool to just see, like, it was literally the same week too, 5 years later. Unbelievable. And
of course, with that project, the album's coming out soon, isn't it?
For
Neoblaviscaris?
They just brought out their recent album. But now I do have a side project with Zen, and we're writing an album together right now too for Antiqua. So they keep going, like they don't stop. I'm really proud of them. They've made their mark in the prog metal world, I think. So
and for you, is it important to still keep working in between these projects?
Absolutely. Cradle I'm lucky with the writing process of Cradle because they don't bring me into the end, and it gives me a lot of time to focus on what I want out of life and what I want musically. Because I have my own ideas, and I've done my solo album now. It's done. It's being mastered when I get back in a few days. And I want to work on Antiqua because as a classical musician, I do have some basic classical ideas I would love to put towards black metal. I think it's a cool combination. So yeah, it's definitely important to keep busy. I'm someone who's just constantly creating, and I love making art and putting it out there, and some people really like it, and that's cool. So
what direction do you think you'll be taking with your own work?
It's definitely like a gothic rock album with a little bit of new metal. I definitely want to go heavier on my next album. And it's very heartfelt. I like to talk about a lot of modern issues and tell my stories and talk about things close to my heart. So that's something, whereas Cradle's very fantasy and Victorian and romantic. My stuff's like a little more pop ballads, mainstream, darker, so I'm okay with that.
But you obviously you're talking about things within the realms of the real world. What are the important issues for you?
I have a lot of friends that I love who suffer from depression and suicide and having a bad childhood. And I think, I haven't I have had a good life, but I've also struggled with mental health. And the biggest thing for me is finding yourself, loving yourself, and standing up for yourself. Yeah, absolutely. I think self-care is the most important thing, and I think we don't even realize, what has damaged us in the past. And I still get angry about people who told me I wasn't good enough or put me down. I still write about that, because it happened in the past doesn't mean I'm over yet. And you don't have to ever be over anything. You don't have to move on. You can still be angry and sad, but sometimes those things drag us to such a dark place. And I feel like, if I didn't write about it, I wouldn't be here. That's what it is. And I feel, some people don't have creativity in the way I've been given it, and people need that music. They need that hug. They need to hear that song and feel that hug, as music has done for me. Like when Chester took his life last year, I didn't leave the couch for 2 days. I was bawling my eyes out because he's someone who carried me through my adolescence, which was a little dark in areas. Dating the wrong men and going through some hard situations. And you think, geez, his music carried me through so many horrible things that I've been through, and he couldn't even carry himself through life, and that hurt and that hit home. And he was an influence. There's a few moments on this record. I was recording it in the studio, and I was thinking, what would Chester do? And this was before he took his life, and then after. I wasn't even thinking about it, and there's really emotional moments because he was such a big influence on me. And I feel there's a huge thing, there's just these problems that people develop in their childhood, and being an adult is not easy. It's not hard. It's dark. There's up and downs, and I think that's just life always. But when you're going through your teens and your early 20s, you need something to carry you through, whether it's a friend or music or a sport or a hobby, anything. So I want to just put out my stories and write lyrics that, when people, I think another thing is like when we feel things, we have such a hard time speaking and saying what we feel, and I feel like I can communicate that. I'm a really good communicator. The band tells me. The guys are like, Lindsay, you say it how it is and you say it first, and I do. And as a lyricist, I think that's important too.
I almost think sometimes with depression though, it's I've likened it to being inside a glass box, soundproof box, and screaming, but nobody can hear you.
It is.
Would you identify with that?
Absolutely. I think for me, depression is nobody listening. And I've been there, and and then there's certain, I didn't realize I've started eliminating a lot of toxic people out of my life, because there's certain people who push triggers in you and make you feel less than. And, when you're trying your best and you're trying to be a heartfelt, honest person and a sweet person, and those are the people you need to remove from your life. And it's, you have to consider source. They probably don't love themselves, or they're unhappy themselves, but they're doing damage to you. I'm trying to get back to what the topic was before. What was it that you asked me before?
We talked about depression, living within
yes, that was it. But for me, it's just not having someone there to listen. I find it just, even if they're half listening, I don't care. But talking about it and getting it out is the most important thing, and I'm very lucky. I have a very fantastic significant other, and I have a very good best friend. And and it's been difficult lately. The last year, I've lost my cat. I got forced out of my childhood home, being forced out in the world, and it's not easy.
You can be vulnerable to that.
It's so scary. It's scary, and my parents are getting older, and in realizing that they're not going to be around much longer, that's scary too. I'm going through a lot in life right now, and always toying with the idea if I want kids or not, but I don't want to bring a child in the world if I can't afford to feed it. That's my biggest thing. That's me being responsible. I know. Somehow we make it work.
You maybe put that expectation on yourself, but a lot of people that have children can't afford them, but they just have them anyway.
And I think that's a problem. I think people should be more responsible with bringing a life in the world. But again, I wasn't planned, and here I am, and my parents stepped up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. If I bring a child into this world, I can't make my art as much as I want to. And it's really weird. I think a lot of women struggle with this. They think if they bring a life into this world, there's a chance that they could be a single mom. They never think, and I'm sure a lot of dads think that too, and it's scary. There's this weird times that we're in as people, as a collective. This world that we're in is strange. I think it always has been. But yeah, I think it's important for me to write about that and put my artwork out there, because and it's beautiful. I've gotten messages from fans too. I can recall, they're like, "You saved my life because of what you did." And if I can keep doing that, if I can just touch one life,
that must hit you
or 1,000. It did. There was one fan saved their life, and they played my music at their wedding, and you need a moment to take that in, and what I've done is a big part of someone else's life. And then I think about all the artists that are a big part of my life, and I'm like, you just gotta keep that going.
Pay it forward.
It's always, yeah. It's not about the money for me. It's just about helping people.
You've got a gift. Use it.
Cheers. Yeah, absolutely.
Lindsay, I could talk to you all day.
I think we could.
We could talk all day. You're a very interesting person. I've really enjoyed this interview. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Loved it. It was great.